Life in Cairo appears to be returning to normal after the removal of the Egyptian president last Friday, but the effects of the demonstrations which overthrew Hosni Mubarak are still reverberating. Protest organisers are calling for a victory march across the country on Friday, and protest rallies continue to spring up in other countries across the region. Middle East correspondent Ben Knight reports from Cairo.
Not everyone in Egypt knows quite how to cope with their newfound freedom. But there are others who do. Already the souvenir stalls are out, commemorating what's become known as the 25th of January revolution. In the centre of town, the clean-up continued.
The clean-up of the square and indeed the entire area around the central city has really gone to remarkable proportions in the space of just a couple of days. Even the curbing has been repainted by volunteers.
The people of Cairo are giving their city more care and attention than it's seen in many, many years.
At first people, they were against the idea of us painting on walls. They said, we're cleaning and you're painting, we're trying to remove all of this. And then when they found it nice, they started to paint, and everyone's painting now.
But there are other, deeper changes going on. 2 days ago, all these books were banned under the old regime. And the state-run newspapers have had a remarkable turnaround in their editorial stance.
Suddenly, with the downfall of Mubarak, they started talking about how great are these people. They are the same persons who have changed their skins. Suddenly, overnight.
In Tahrir Square, the army began moving out the last of the protesters, sparking some scuffles as they pulled down the tents. But the army's command is making its first moves towards fulfilling its promise to steer Egypt towards democracy. It's dissolved the parliament and suspended the constitution. And it's set up a committee to prepare a new constitution and promised to vote within 6 months.
It is very nice that both the Assembly and the Shura were dissolved together. I hope that all kinds of corruption will be dissolved.
It was the best decision taken by the army since it's been in power, because the Shura and the Assembly were related to the same old regime.
But managing the transition to democracy will not be easy. Yesterday there were spot protests around Cairo, like these police officers demanding better pay. And the army now faces accusations from Human Rights Watch that it's been detaining and torturing some protesters near Tahrir Square. But the Egyptian revolution continues to inspire people in neighbouring countries, where there are new protests almost every day. In Bahrain, minority Shiite Muslims protested against discrimination. In Yemen, there were yet more protests demanding the removal of the country's president, and yet again, security forces met them head-on. Tonight, Iranians are being called onto the streets in what could be the most significant protests in that country since the June 2009 presidential election. All have been watching the celebrations in Egypt, and the relative ease with which a seemingly unshakable regime crumbled in the face of a sustained, peaceful protest. The sheer suddenness of the change in Egypt has left many people in this country feeling simply overwhelmed. But after just 2 days, they are starting to get used to it. Ben Knight, Lateline.